Hey everybody, welcome to Cameras and Cats. Today we are in Miami, Florida, and we have a very exciting review for you. We're going to be comparing the Sony RX100 VII and the Ricoh GR IIIx. These are two little point and shoot cameras, and we're going to let you know what we think about them, show you tons of sample photos, and yeah, we're going to take you with us all through Miami, so let's go. Okay, so here they are. They're both super cute and really small. These are both point and shoot cameras, so they're great for travel, great if you just want to, not have to carry a super heavy camera around, but they both are, pretty expensive, medium price, not exactly cheap. So they're a little bit in competition with each other, and you might be having a hard time deciding which one you want. So I'm going to kind of share some of the key differences I've noticed. I've been using these both for about 3 or 4 days now, and there's definitely some things that are very different. And honestly, it's really hard to decide which one I would go with if I had to choose one. I've been lucky enough to team up with B&H to be able to try these both out, so it's been a really fun adventure. Basically, the Sony is much easier to use, very user-friendly. If you don't really know much about cameras and you just want like a really kind of pro-level point and shoot, you want to take beautiful photos, the Sony is really more for you. It also has a zoom lens, which is 24 to 200, I believe. And so that's great for traveling because you can like zoom in on, animals, or you can zoom in on views. Like yesterday, we went on an alligator tour, so we'll show you some of that footage. But the zoom lens really came in handy. I actually didn't even really use the Ricoh that much because, we were kind of far away from the alligators and I couldn't really zoom in. So this one was really super handy in that situation. The Ricoh here has a fixed 2.8 40mm lens, so you don't have that zoom function. This is really more for like if you're trying to get some fine art photos while you're traveling. It kind of requires more patience. It requires a little bit more time to kind of be able to fiddle through the screen and be able to set up exactly what you want. But I will say the photos on this camera are beautiful. It reminds me of kind of like my big DSLR. This is really a pro level camera in a tiny little point and shoot size. So if you really want to like challenge yourself, this is like for fine art photography, in my opinion. I'll show you guys some side-by-side photos so you can see the difference between the two. Like I took some photos of the same thing, but with each camera so you can see the difference. But I will say the Sony was just much easier to use. I'd pop it out of my bag really quickly, shoot a photo. And what I love is the zoom lens because when I'm traveling, I love like a super wide lens so I can get those really tall buildings, those beautiful views. The 40mm lens is a lot more zoomed in, so it's really better for portraits. And it's good for street photography too. It just kind of has a nice like fine art quality to it. So that's what I really love about this camera. But one other big major difference is it does not have a flash. So when you're traveling and you want to catch your friends at dinner, or you're trying to, take your photo of yourself on the beach at night, the flash really comes in handy. One thing I really had an issue with the Ricoh is we were on the beach last night trying to take some photos, and I just could not get it to focus. We were trying to take photos of the buildings, of the ocean, of each other, and it just really wasn't working at all. I don't know if there's some different things I can mess with and set it up differently to make it work better. So even though the ISO range is crazy, it has like, I think it goes up to 102,800 ISO. It was, super duper grainy, kind of unusable, and just very, very difficult to focus. So that was kind of a weird thing. I'm not really sure why, what you're supposed to do with an ISO range that giant if it's going to be so grainy. But, if you're really trying to capture something and you need it, then you got it. But I was kind of like, this isn't working, so I switched to the Sony. Plus you've got the flash, and I was able to take photos. The Sony only goes up to 12,800, so it's a big difference. But it actually, it does pretty good. Basically, with any camera, you don't really want to go above 6,400 because at that point it starts to get grainy. But they both do a decent job at that level, so I'll show you some comparison photos there. One of the big differences also is that this has 4K video up to, I believe, 30 frames per second, and the Ricoh only does 1080p up to 60 frames per second. So big difference there, especially if you're into video. The Sony is really definitely the one to go with there if you're like a, video photo hybrid shooter. The Ricoh is really, I feel like, for photographers, fine art photographers. That's just how I felt this whole time. But the photos are like beautiful. they are really special. So this is a very cool camera for a good price, especially if you want a really compact camera to kind of shoot fine art and you don't want people staring at you or you want to be inconspicuous. This is a really fun camera to try out. And the Sony, like I said, good for travel, good for sports, good for quick shooting, good for just the person who maybe doesn't know that much about photography, but you can still do lots of really fun things with it if you are into photography and you want to do manual or you want to shoot shutter priority or aperture priority. You can do all those different things. Another thing is that it's also way easier to switch into movie mode on the Sony. There's just a little button here. You can just be in photo mode and then you just press that button and it starts recording. So with the Ricoh, you have to go into the screen, find the setting, and switch from still to movie, and that way you can start shooting. So it's very inconvenient and not a super fast thing. So really this is not for video, unless maybe you just kind of every once in a while want to capture some video. It's really just more a photographer's camera, not really a videographer's camera. So Sony, once again, wins for video, but Ricoh wins for photos. So that's a huge difference. Really, it's the sensor. The Ricoh has an APS-C sensor, so the photos just have a lot more detail. It's 24.2 megapixels, and the Sony has a 1-inch sensor, so it's a lot smaller. Doesn't capture as much detail, just not as pro level. So you're really getting that pro level sensor here with this little camera. And one of the major key factors for me, the difference between these two cameras, is the Ricoh, you can do multiple exposure. If you guys follow me, once again, you know that I love multiple exposure. So if that's not a feature on the camera, it doesn't really make sense for me to buy it. So the Ricoh has that built in. You can go to the drive mode, multi-exposure, and you can shoot as many as you want over top of each other. So that's really important for me. So it's really a super creative feature that this camera has. The Sony does not have that, which for me is kind of a deal breaker. Unfortunately, in Sony in general, they don't usually have multiple exposure. So for me, Sony's kind of off the table. Ricoh is, it surprises me that they even have this in here, but to me that's really important. So in that situation, I would lean towards this one. But if I'm just traveling and really want something quick and easy to focus with and really fast autofocus, the Sony is really what you want to go with. Another thing that I've noticed is just the color temperature in general. I always find Sony to be a little bit oversaturated, really bright, but it's fun, if you're hanging out with your friends, if you kind of want that point and shoot, like traditional vibe with kind of a fisheye look, really wide shots, and you want to squeeze a lot of people into a shot, especially if you're doing a selfie, Sony's good for that. This you're going to find is too zoomed in for doing a selfie, turning it around, taking a photo, getting photos of your friends at dinner, things like that. It's just not for the standard person, in my opinion. But like I said, if you're trying to take really pro-level photos and you want to get beautiful shots, things that really stand out on your vacations or just your travels or just daily life or portraits or whatever, then this is a great camera. In general, these point-and-shoot cameras, any point-and-shoot camera that's in this price range, are really super hard to find. And the reason I compared these two cameras is because these are more accessible, these are more available. So a lot of the Canon ones are hard to find, just, either discontinued or just highly popular. So these two, there's just more of them out there. So hopefully you guys can find one of these before they all sell out. Point-and-shoot cameras are just so popular because I feel like all the Gen Z kids and all the younger kids, they love point-and-shoot cameras, but they also want to take good photos, so they snatch them up. And also they're just easy to use, easy to travel with. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want a lightweight, tiny camera that takes gorgeous photos? That's just kind of how it is. I got lucky enough I have a Canon G7X Mark II, and that camera is also really hard to find, and that camera is super awesome. I love that camera. So in conclusion, basically, if you are looking for a really great travel camera, really good sports camera with quick autofocus, great video, sharp colors, beautiful photos. I mean, the Sony has beautiful photos and colors and sharpness. So honestly, it's a great camera. People love Sony, especially if you're into video at all. Sony is just great. You can't really get better than this in a point and shoot, technically. But to me, as a fine art photographer, where photography is my main focus, I like to take photos that maybe I submit to art shows or galleries. I'm looking for photos that are really beautiful and unique and artistic, and that's just like my ultimate goal. Then the Ricoh is kind of more for me. But, I also do a lot of traveling, so in that situation, the Sony kind of wins. So honestly, I need them both if I'm traveling. It's really hard to decide which one I like. I like having both of them because they both really do different things. So it's been fun to switch between them. I'm going to have a full blog post about these two cameras, so you'll be able to check out all the photos and see the differences for yourself and see them more up close than kind of on a YouTube video. My blog is kind of where I really get into detail and show lots of photos, kind of more of what I do in general. I'm more of a writer than really a YouTuber. So hopefully this video helps you decide what you want to do about these two cameras. Maybe you want both of them like I do, but we'll see if that ever happens. They're both awesome cameras. You can't really go wrong. And, you know, they're pretty good for the price. They're expensive, but also they're amazing for what you get. If you guys are interested in picking up either one of these cameras, if I convinced you in any way, I'll include the links below so you can find the cameras, and it helps me get a kickback if you guys use my links. So I really appreciate it because I love making these videos. I love comparing cameras and talking about them and showing my photos. So make sure to check those out. And thank you guys so much. You can find me on Instagram at Myles Katherine, at The Traveling Holga, and at Cameras and Cats. I have a Patreon, patreon.com/MylesKatherine. I also wrote a book. It's called Temporary Beauty. If you're interested in art and meditation, things like that, kind of like poetic writing, then you should check that out. It's on Amazon. I'll include the link below to that also. We're going to go on lots of adventures around Miami. We're going to go see some gators. This is my birthday week, so we're down here for a couple days. My birthday is tomorrow on Valentine's Day. That's why I'm wearing this cute little heart shirt. And thank you guys so much for tuning in to Cameras and Cats. Make sure to have a great day, and make sure to like and subscribe and be nice. Thank you guys so much.
Loud.
A lot more zoomed in, so it's better for... What did you say?
Yeah.
The Sony was also... Lawnmower Man's over here. We're going to be doing all sorts of adventures... I can't see. We're going to be doing all kinds of adventures on this trip. It's my birthday week. Ugh.
What is it? What is it doing? Cats.